Hello Facebookers, anti-agers, health lovers. This is Chris Pickard at Body in Balance in Hertfordshire. Today is Valentine's Day, so there is going to be a connection to the heart. Now, for those of you that read my email this morning, or who have read the title, Reduce Stress with One Nostril, may be wondering what on earth I'm talking about. Unless, of course, you already know a little bit about neurology and also essential oils. So I will get to that in a moment. The other thing I spoke about was the vagus nerve, which I think is going to be one of the next big things in healthcare. So hello, Antu Kirby. So why am I talking about these things? Well, stress is a major epidemic. And it causes all kinds of neurological issues. It can lead to dementia. It can certainly lead to stomach issues, irritable bowel problems. It can lead to increased infections. It contributes to many cancers. And we're not just talking about emotional stress. We're also talking about physical stress and chemical stress. All these three stresses are assaulting us and our brain every single day. Hello Janine, hello Karen, and hello Rob Scott as well. So our body and our mind is constantly under stress from all of these things, constant low level stress all the time. And our bodies were not meant to be able to deal with this kind of constant stress. It's been designed to deal with a big stress and get out of the way of it, because stress is, at the end of the day, all comes from physical things. So, you either fight or you run away. But chemical stress, we can't fight it or run away from it. We just get more and more overloaded, and it seeps into our brain, all these toxic chemicals, and causes brain stress, chemical stress. And then there's all the emotional stresses, which we didn't have in the same way when we evolved. So I'm not going to go into great detail about stress. What I'm going to tell you is two things to be aware of, okay? One is, how do you measure stress? Well, stress, you can measure the end product of the release of a stress hormone called cortisol. And this gives you an idea about what your body is doing chemically. But really, stress is a reaction to your environment. And the thing that reacts to your environment the quickest is your heart. So when there you go, Valentine's Day. So when you're under a lot of stress, your heart rate goes up immediately, because your brain tells your heart to pump blood to get more oxygen around the body, get more nutrients around the body, so you've got more energy to run away or to fight. Okay, because when you're in a stressful situation, the way to deal with being attacked isn't to lie down and be calm. Although that's what we should be doing to emotional stresses that aren't physically threatening to us. So our heart rate goes up, and we can measure what's called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve, or you can measure its overall functioning ability. The vagus nerve is the nerve that goes from our brain to our heart and helps control our heart rate. But it also helps control our stomach, our digestion, our spleen, our pancreas, our liver, blood sugar levels. It goes back into the face. So if the vagus nerve isn't working properly, you can have dry eyes, you can have poor taste, you can have stomach problems, bowel problems. The list goes on with the vagus nerve. Migraines. So you can measure how well your vagus nerve is working by measuring what's called heart rate variability. As you breathe in, okay, and your body fills, your lungs fill with air, the heart is compressed and your heart rate actually goes up a little bit. When you breathe out, there's more room for your heart and your heart beats a little bit slower. And this raising and lowering of your heart rate as you're breathing, and your breathing rate, and how much the heart rate varies and how it varies, it's called heart rate variability, and it can be directly related to how well your vagus nerve is working, and how all these little bits of your vagus nerve are working, or how much they vary, or how they vary, can tell us different functions, different aspects of how the vagus nerve in your brain is working. Now, things like the phone I'm using here, Samsung Note, in fact even the older Samsungs and even most iPhones now actually have heart rate variability monitors in them. You may not realise this. They certainly have the ability to check your pulse, but they also I've got a little thing that can measure heart rate variability. So now this doesn't tell you everything you need to know, and it's very basic, but your smartphone can actually help tell you a little bit about what's going on there. Now then, there are things like Fitbits as well, which can tell you what's going on. But what I am getting into the clinic very shortly is a device that measures heart rate variability very precisely, and it can actually tell us about your brain function. It can tell us how much energy reserve almost it's got. It can tell us how healthy your hormone, your neural hormonal axis is. It can tell us whether or not stress is really killing you, whether stress is making you fat, whether stress is making you feel pain, and it tells you basically the health of your brain and your vagus nerve. So if you are local and you would like to have the heart rate variability test, then make an appointment, come and see us, and we can get that tested on your next visit to the clinic. It takes about 4 minutes. And it can tell us an awful lot about what's going on inside you. So how do you reduce stress with just one nostril then? Well, you may remember in the past I've spoken about how the different sides of the brain have different functions. Now your left prefrontal cortex, this little baby here, is the area that's really responsible for happy thoughts, whereas the right side of the brain at the front is negative thoughts, all the bad stuff happens here, or the thought processes. So if you want to help decrease stress, apart from going out and running around, which is the best thing to do, but if you've got chronic anxiety, chronic stress, and one thing you can do is you can stimulate your left brain basically. And while a lot of your left brain is stimulated by stuff that happens on the right side of your body, smell, which is perhaps one of the oldest parts of the brain, is directly linked on the same side. So when you breathe just through the left nostril, you will actually possibly be having more of an effect on the left side of your brain than your right, and you'll be calming everything down. But you can potentiate this further by taking a nice smell. They found that things like citrus fruits, oranges, lemons, limes actually produce a calming effect. They're literally nature's natural antidepressants, and they can help you feel a bit more energized as well. And so you basically take orange essential oil and you smell something pleasant through your left nostril. So I mean, you can use orange, lemon, lime, both sides. I mean, just the scent going around is going to be very good for the brain. But when you're actually just deliberately inhaling with your left nostril, it's even more powerful. Okay? So that's my top tip for the day. So you can go, if you've got Samsungs made in the last 3-4 years, if you've got iPhones made in the last 3-4 years, you probably have a heart rate variability monitor already on you, but they're only very basic. If you really want to take a deep dive into the brain, and as soon as I've got it in the clinic, I'll start posting some results and some pictures and charts so you know exactly what we're measuring and what to expect. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. And for those of you who are in my anti-aging health lab, I will be in there for another live broadcast in a few minutes. Thank you very much. Live young and prosper. And please, if you know anyone who's really stressed, share this video. Share the simple orange in the left nostril check. So that was the left, by the way. Orange in the left nostril. And please, if you know someone who's really, really sick, send them this video so that they can come in and we can put them on the heart rate variability monitor, which will be here in the next week or so. Be well.